Então, são 2 painéis, agora vai ter 1h30. O primeiro é Ecossistema de Inovação em Alimentos, Aprendizados do Passado e Lições para o Futuro. Tem 2 pessoas que vão entrar online. O Scott May, que foi até recentemente o head do Mista Food, que passou o bastão para o Alex Bass, que vai estar no outro painel. E a Cristina Jacobsen, que é a CEO do Swiss and Food Nutrition Valley. Juntamente, que eu vou convidar aqui meu amigo Andy Zinga, please. Andy was the former CEO of EIT Food, the largest ecosystem in the world. He will explain that. I will invite Pascal Bertrand, Vitagorá. Pascal, thank you. Vitagorá, when I started Foodtech Hub Latam, Vitagorá is one of my first partners. But then the guy left, and we missed the communication connection now with Pascal. And I thank you, André, from Business France, that brought Pascal to this discussion. And I hope I can check with Cristina. Pessoal, deu aí a Cristina aí online? Ainda não? Let's see.
Christina,
hello.
I think you're up. There you go.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Sorry, having difficulties hearing you here, Paolo, but hello, everyone, and greetings from Switzerland.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Yes, Cristina, thank you very much. The idea, Scott, thank you very much for being here. I start with Cristina. Cristina, the idea here is say our life in ecosystems is not easy. People think it's easy. It's not easy.
Do you hear me well, Paolo?
Sorry? Yeah, very well. I hear you very well. Yes. So.
I hear you a little.
Okay.
So let's see how we can shout across.
No, but you can talk. It's a bit delay. But Cristina, say to us your journey until here in ecosystem, and then what you see for the future, the challenges for the future, bringing value to the members. That's the whole discussion here. Thank you.
Thank you. How much time do I have, Paolo?
You can have 10 minutes.
Thank you. So very happy to be here and very happy to share with you all the journey of Swiss Food and Nutrition Valley. There are many ecosystems, wonderful food ecosystems around the world. And I think Swiss Food and Nutrition Valley was one of the new kids on the block when we were founded just 5 years ago. We set out on a journey as a non-profit association, inviting the whole ecosystem of Switzerland in to work together with a common purpose, namely to future-proof the food system. And to us, future-proofing the food system means developing a food system which is good for the planet, so where we produce food within planetary boundaries, which is good for the people, hence makes us healthy and not sick, and which has prosperity, hence good for the economy of the country and of the individual players. So people, planet, prosperity. We today have 150 partners plus, a lot of startups, large corporations like Givaudan, Bühler, Nestle, DSM Firmenich, and retailers and gastronomy. We have our universities in our partner group, researchers, SMEs, and what we call innovation accelerators like accelerators and interest organizations. So it's a very diverse mix, and we work on different topics in the food system. Our values is all about trust, collaboration, and courage. Now, you asked about the challenges that we had, and I think working with the focus on a common purpose was a good idea. It took a lot of trust into the room, but at the same time, having such a diverse partner group with different needs and different success measures showed to be a challenge. So what a startup, a young, small business wanted to see and get from the Valley was very different from what a Nestle wanted to get out of it, or a researcher, and the other way around. And hence that was something where it was always a trade-off. What can we offer the large amount, and what can we offer on the individual? When we started out 5 years ago, probably like many other ecosystems, there was a strong focus on sustainability. So one of the 3 Ps in our future proof. And we have seen over the last 2 years, especially, that sustainability has been taken off many agendas, be it political agendas or company agendas, or at least been a lot smaller. And I think all along with this big focus from the Valley and also our other friend ecosystems around the world, sustainability was always a hard sell. It was always hard to justify the return of investment. And it was often seen by a company or a university more as a cost center, a marketing, a communication, rather than something that would bring long-term prosperity. And what we've seen the last 2 years is that there's been a strong shift towards a focus on people's health. And this is a much easier and stronger sell, because it's easy for the CFO to see how this can early on hit the P&L, the bottom line of a company. And what is good for us ecosystem players is that people's health and planetary health often goes hand in hand. So we still keep the agenda there, but we're not as vocal about it. I think another challenge we saw was really this talk about the systemic thinking, the systemic approach, that transformation is a team sport. We all said it, we all believed it, but came the day where we had to do it. The truth was told that we had grown up in an education system, in a business system where we were all really raised to think and act within our silos. And that is something we are becoming better at, but we all the time have to remind ourselves and each other, think up and down the value chain, think beyond. What if we change this, how does it impact this very interlinked food system that we're in? So that is work in progress. And then I think maybe one final point on the challenges was the whole patience element. Change makers are not patient people per se, but it takes time to build up trust, shared values, shared language, and all that. And I think that was a lesson learned as well. And I think with the Valley 5 years in now we're at a place where we have that and we can gear up once and accelerate. Then, Paolo, you asked about the future and the future ecosystem, how we see that. We have been very focused historically on innovation, and I think the future will be much more focused on actions and results. So where it's no longer excitement about a new innovation, but the excitement will be at and will become where the implementation happens, where the scaling happens, where the impact happens. And I think that is also a good and natural evolution of a transformation. I also think the future ecosystem model has to, for an ecosystem like the Valley, we have to be better at celebrating the collective wins and success and still embrace the individual ones. So that means within our work and doings, we acknowledge that the partners that partner up for this, they have an agenda for their business or for their university or whatever it may be, for their entity, together with the collaborative ambition. And that is okay, and we should embrace that. I think ecosystem players, we will continue to have the role as connectors, as translators, as a trusted neutral partner in all this. And also it will be expected from us to continuously come up with new innovative approaches to our mission, our goals, our transformation. And then, as I alluded to in the challenge, I see the future being much more focused on health, nutrition for metabolic health, nutrition for mental health. And I think that's a great opportunity. Sustainability will come around again once we have more breathing space, once the economy and the geopolitical landscape is more secured, but it's not around the near corner. And I need to make a disclaimer now, because what I'm saying is on my own account, and I might be proven wrong, but I lean forward here and share with you my thoughts. And maybe a final point is, I think we've talked about the systemic approach, and we talk about triple helix, and we talk about pentant helix and whatever. I think the future will go way beyond that. There will be more players, and it will be more unusual players. In the Valley, we signed last week a collaboration agreement with a reinsurance company. And I think that is just one example of a maybe unusual approach. But here we have found a powerful partner. It's the company Swiss Re, which is a global reinsurance company. A powerful partner with a common interest of changing the food system to provide people with health and not with illnesses, as we unfortunately do today. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to build trust and common language with the insurance partners here. So to finish off, and maybe to summarize what I see, is that the collaboration will go into really execution mode. Innovation will go into measurable impact, where we will measure more on that than the IP. And the system thinking will go beyond what we see today. And I think that was 9 minutes.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much. Very insightful, very much. Thank you. After everybody talk, I will make some comments, but I will pass over. Thank you, Chris. I'll pass over to Scott. Scott, are you listening to me? Scott?
Excellent. Thanks, Paulo. It's super hard to hear you. So I think you said you'll pass it over to me. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Scott May, the founder and head of MISTA on the West Coast of the United States. Just a bit about the journey of MISTA. We've been around for about 10 years, and it all started as I was leading our open innovation or front-end innovation for Givaudan. And as I was doing that, as I was building this program, the one thing that struck me was the fact that there was no way to collaborate with multiple corporate organizations, at least at that time, 10 years ago. And it was probably more like 11. And so what I identified was an opportunity to bring multiple organizations together on the same platform. And not just ingredient companies, but really the entire food system. So players such as Buehler on the equipment side, Givaudan and Ingredion and AAK on the ingredient side, and then also the big CPG players. And of course, alongside of that are the early stage startups that are disrupting many aspects of the food system. And one of the challenges we have is that large organizations struggle to innovate. They struggle to essentially integrate some of these new technologies into the organization. So all of that built the foundation for MISTA, and essentially that created where we are today, where we bring this ecosystem of large and small players together on the West Coast. As many of you know, the West Coast is a a fantastic place for emerging technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's biotechnology, or whether it's food technology. And so that was the other impetus, is we wanted to be in the heart of the activity of where things are really emerging. And so that's why we set things up on the West Coast and specifically in the heart of San Francisco. So that's kind of the background. I would say the challenges that we have seen over the past 10 years, of course, are many. I think Christina mentioned most of them, but most organizations are not really adept at working outside of their own silos, outside of their own organizations, and so it does take time to really drive that, and it also takes the right person. And so what we found is that the individual or individuals representing each of these large corporations is hugely important. They have to have the right mindset. They have to have the right understanding of not only their own organization, but how their organization fits into the broader food system. And they have to have a mindset of innovation. And when we talk about innovation, one of the things that we did is we created a framework called regenerative innovation. And in order for any person, any team, any company to adapt and evolve, it's necessary to go through 3 phases that we've identified. The first is around experiences. So creating experiences where people can really see beyond what's known and really, move beyond the past into potential futures. And from that, the second step is around reflection. So being able to reflect as an ecosystem on some of these opportunities, on some of the challenges that we see out there. And ultimately, the integration phase is the third step of our framework, which is one of the hardest parts. So how do you take these opportunities? How do you take these potentials? How do you understand these conditions and integrate them into your own organization, which is very, very challenging. And those are the kinds of things that we work on to help our large corporations on each of their own journeys. Because if we don't do this, the ability to adapt and evolve essentially becomes zero. And for me, that's innovation. If you can't adapt and evolve at the speed and the rate of change that we see in the system, then you are going to be left behind, and you're likely going to have a lot of challenges. So that's really what we've identified, and that's what we spend a lot of our time focused on. So we've created a number of programs to really highlight that. For the past several years, we've created a program which is called the Growth Hack, and we pick a particular theme and we take a deep dive on that growth hack. Again, to number 1, bring experience to the ecosystem. Number 2, help people reflect upon what this new area, new space that we're exploring is going to do. And finally, using the growth hack to help them integrate new things into their own organization. That integration could be a startup technology, but it also could be a new way of working with other large corporates. So that's the other thing that we've seen is corporate to corporate engagement has increased considerably. So those are the challenges that we see. When we think about the future, what we see is the pace only accelerating. We thought things were moving fast in the last 5 years, and what I see is exponential increase in that speed, mainly driven by artificial intelligence. And so at the introduction of the last growth hack that we had in March, I gave a speech on the age of agency. And what I mean by the age of agency is, for any of you who have played with AI, essentially you can create your own agent. You can create an agent that understands who you are, what you're all about, could be even your family, could be work life, and that agent can help you navigate all of the information that's out there. That power of that, so the age of agency, the power of those agents in the hands of consumers is unbelievable. And I think as a food industry, we have no idea what's coming. It will be, well, and not only the food system, but every system that we operate within here on planet Earth is going to be disrupted. And so as the food system, as the food industry, we have to find a way to be able to, again, adapt and evolve at the pace of the change that the age of agency is going to be bringing us. And my concern is that we are going to try to do this from our old way of working, and it's simply not going to be effective. As Christina mentioned, we have to find new ways to work together that help us. And I think that's the only way that we are going to be successful in adapting and evolving at the speed that we need to with this age of agency that's coming at us. So that's really the biggest thing. Of course, things like biotechnology, health and nutrition are all playing a very important role in all of these things. When you think about the age of agency for health and nutrition, the ability for consumers to really get information that they need for their own biological needs is going to change dramatically. And so when we talk about personalized nutrition, it's no longer about a product. Personalized nutrition is now about information. And that information is going to be very much available, again, through this age of agency. So with that, I'll pause. And the other thing I'll mention here for anybody, I'm actually retiring as the head of MISTA. I'll be an advisor. I'll be an advisor to the food system as we move forward. So I'm not going anywhere. But I'm handing the torch over, the future leadership of MISTA to Alex Bastos, who many of you may know. He's also from Brazil. And so looking forward to working with Alex in an advisory role as we move forward and we figure out what MISTA is going to look like to enable us to ensure that we're providing value to the food system of the future. Thank you.
Good, Scott. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? No. Okay, thank you, Scott, very much. And I have to mention here that last day we heard that we have to listen to people. And I did that when I listened to you in the beginning of the tropical, not to put competitors in the governance board. And I took very seriously that, and then I talked to Alex at that time and say we kept ingredients company and equipment company, so no conflict. As a membership, okay, but not in the governance, and that was a good advice. Thank you, Scott. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, said that, I will pass the word. I will leave Andy Zinga to the final. Pascal, please share your experience and lessons from the past and roadmap for the future. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Paulo, for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. Well, it's my first time in Brazil, and it's very interesting. We had a very interesting meeting in Ezal, Gital, and many others. So, well, I'm quite convinced that we can have a lot to share together. So I work for Vitagora, which is a French agri-food innovation hub cluster, as we said in France. We work with approximately 700 members, companies, university. So just first, let me explain how we work and when it started. So 20 years ago, the French government wanted to accelerate innovation and improve economic competitiveness through collaborative ecosystem, bringing together companies, research laboratories, universities, and public authorities. This is quite important for our model today. So they created clusters. And our mission is to support companies and research organizations in developing innovation and growth. So just let me share a few insights from our experience in France. Well, ecosystem, of course, as you know here, it's not a single organization. Network of interconnected stakeholders working together to transform scientific knowledge into concrete innovation. So this ecosystem includes food companies, of course, from small size to medium and large industrial group, startups, universities and academic research laboratories. It's about 1/3 of our members today. Public authorities, important in France, for fundings, of course, and regional and national funding agencies, investors, and in France, organizations like clusters such as Vitagora. Of course, each actor has a different role. Companies bring market needs and digital capability. Researchers bring scientific expertise. Public authorities, financial support. And startup brings agility. And clusters like Vitagora connect all these actors, and our role is to facilitate collaboration. So, an innovative ecosystem only works if the different actors are able to share a common vision. This is very important to us. Otherwise, we cannot work and collaborate efficiently. Food innovation ecosystems are not only technological ecosystems, but they are cooperative ecosystems. Of course, this notion of an innovation ecosystem can also be understood in a different way. Historically, in Europe and in France, ecosystems were often structured around collaboration between industry, public research, and public fundings institutions. And this model was largely based on collaborative R&D and long-term partnership. But today, ecosystems must be also defined by entrepreneurial dynamics, the ability to attract startups, investors, talent, and rapid innovation. Food innovation ecosystems are evolving from traditional collaborative R&D networks toward more market-driven and startup-oriented innovation hubs. And well, I think that the future will probably combine both models, the strength of long-term collaboration and the agility of entrepreneurial innovation. And this evolution in France is probably one of the most important lessons from the past 20 years of food innovation. So, as I said, the French model was largely based on collaborative R&D, and it was also often driven by large industry companies, research laboratories, technical centers, and public funding programs. And, well, honestly, this model creates strong values. But today, and over the time, we at Vitagora developed numerous collaborative projects involving companies, researchers, and public institutions. But over time, we built ecosystems based on trust, scientific cooperation, and I think this foundation remains extremely important today because many food challenges still require deep scientific expertise, long-term investment, and collective collaboration. But, you know, over the last year, the environment has changed. And companies, especially small and medium-sized, they face uncertainty and complexity. They need faster innovation cycles, more agility, quicker market access, and more visible short-term impacts. At the same time, startups have become major innovation drivers, consumer also plays a much stronger role in shaping innovation priorities, and technology evolves much faster than before. So it's not only about technology. And this changes the nature of innovation ecosystem themselves in France. So today, the ecosystem need to balance three different realities. They still need long-term collaboration built on science, research, and collective investment, but they also need speed and agility of entrepreneurial innovation. But companies are now facing much stronger economic pressure. So the challenge today is not only to innovate faster, it is to innovate more efficiently. And I believe that this search for balance between long-term collaboration, entrepreneurial agility, and economic efficiency is one of the biggest transformations for food innovation ecosystem today. Challenge is no longer choosing between collaborative ecosystem and entrepreneurial ecosystem. The real challenge is combining both effectively. And organizations like Vitagora are evolving from traditional cluster organization toward orchestration platform capable of connecting different innovation logics, different actors, and different time horizon. And I believe this orchestration capability will become one of the key competitive advantage of future food innovation ecosystem. But innovation ecosystems are also becoming international, and we have to improve in France. And the collaboration across countries and continents, I believe that international collaboration between ecosystems, Europe, Brazil, will become increasingly important in the future of food innovation. So, for the conclusion, to achieve this, I see 5 major priorities for us. The first one is building trust, because without trust, collaborations slows down. Trust between public, private actors, of course, startups and large companies, science and industry, innovation and society. The second one is making innovation more accessible for small and medium-sized companies, because many small companies still see innovation ecosystem as too complex. We need simpler approaches, more agility, and more practical support. The third one is accelerating the transfer from research to market. Europe and France have excellent scientific research, but the real challenge is transforming knowledge into industrial and societal impact faster. The fourth one is developing hybrid skills. We need people able to connect different world, science, business, startups, and public funding and consumer expectation. And finally, because this is the topic of the forum as well, AI. AI because it deeply transform R&D. We just saw that a couple of minutes ago. Formulation, consumer insight, project management, and knowledge sharing. Well, that's it. Thank you.
So simple, huh? Thank you very much, Pascal. Very much. Thank you. Now I pass the word to Nzinga, and will tell what he did at Ecosystem and then in EIT Food, but also I want to hear your visions about the future. And thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you, Paulo. It's great to be back. This is now my 3rd time in person, and before that, I told you I was here 5 times. I was also online a couple of times, so really...
That's true.
Actually 5 times. So great to see many of you that I've seen before, and those new faces. When Paolo asked me to talk about learnings from an innovation ecosystem, I thought there are three really big buckets. But before I go there, I'm going to just share with you real quick, what is EIT Food? So EIT Food is the largest innovation ecosystem in the world. It is funded by European Union money mostly. And what we did, I was there from 2018 to 2024, until 2 years ago. I was the CEO. And it was a period of really rapid growth. So we got a funding of something like 15 million euros in the first year, and then by 2024, when I left, we had just gotten the funding for 3 years of about 210 million euros. So we would spend every year about 80 million euros in projects that would make people and the planet healthier. And we strongly believed in knowledge triangle integration, so working with government and with universities, with startups, with large corporates. So we actually spent money on innovation with large corporates. And it is very interesting, the learnings that we had out of all of this. So first of all, yes, the money we got was pretty amazing. And it's also, this money also comes, of course, with strings attached, right? So, but let me just tell you, first of all, the learnings from all of this. So there are three big buckets in all of these innovation ecosystems that need to be considered or really nailed down. The first one is a shared purpose. In our case, we had 50 partners at the very beginning, and all of those from the knowledge triangle agreed on what the purpose of this organization should be. And the purpose that was defined was transformation of the food system. And so that's the first one, is the shared purpose. But I'll go back to that in a minute. The second one is incentive to stay. So why would organizations stay inside of an ecosystem? And the third one is, it requires a management instance, some instance that actually does the work of keeping it all together and being a safe haven. But let me just go back. So those are the three big buckets. It's the purpose, it's the incentives, and it's the management instance. About the purpose. So I mentioned already, and Christina also said, our purpose was to future-proof the food system. In our case, because we had so much money, our problem was that we could have done hundreds of projects, and in fact, we did about 100 projects every year. And the problem is, if you have a spray can approach, you can look at, you transform the food system from food waste to, circularity to, there's just so many areas to cover, right? So to agriculture, because the food system is everything from farm to fork, right? So what we did was we said, we cannot create impact for the citizens of the European Union unless we have some kind of focal areas that also have an impact on all the other pieces that are important for food systems transformation. So what we did was we spent money on assembling all of our partners, and at the peak we had something like 350 partners that also, by the way, were paying partners mostly, so they actually funded the management company with something like 4 to 5 million euros a year just from the membership fees that they were paying. So we actually assembled them all, and we said, can you please, all of your partners, large corporates, universities, research centers, etc., and let's together brainstorm on what should be our focus. And we came up then with this group together on 3 focus areas. And the 3 were and still are regenerative agriculture. They are also protein diversification, also known as alternative proteins. And thirdly, sustainable packaging. So that's why I was also quite happy that this morning we were talking about sustainable packaging. So the shared purpose thing is a good thing if you have a mission and a purpose that's pretty broad, and you've got to be a little careful about not making it too narrow, because there are examples of innovation ecosystems that were very focused on, say, alternative proteins, and when the protein hype kind of subsided, some of them actually collapsed, right? So that's the first thing. Also importantly, if there's no purpose, if there's just money, the academics, there's a gentleman called Josh Lerner who actually came up and said, like, if there's no purpose, just money, this thing is going to fall apart eventually, because the money itself is just one of many elements in this. So I think, first of all, this is an important piece. The second one is the incentives to stay. And of course, you can argue that that when you have a lot of money to give organizations that are in the orbit, it's very cool for them to get that money, right? So that's one incentive, but there could be others. And I think for me, you actually, Paulo, you and this Foodtech Hub Brazil is a very fascinating example of you creating value that doesn't have to do with you giving money to projects, but it has to do with value you create that the members feel are so valuable that they actually are happy to keep contributing. And obviously, to stay in, you have to get more value than it's costing you. And so, in our case, again, we had, several millions to give, and so, we got the membership fees, et cetera. But we also had to make a change from the membership fee system, where before, in the very beginning, when I just joined, it was sort of like pay to play. But we were then asked by the commission to say, please change this to make it more value-based so it's wide open to everyone, which we did. So it's a very transparent, open innovation system. But there we had to then think about what actually constitutes value to all the members. And then we instituted these membership fees. But again, just to say incentives are important. So, for example, you could say that if, for example, Nestle was to do innovation with their supply chain, that's also an innovation ecosystem, but it is based on an incentive of doing business with Nestle. So if Nestle then were to say, I'm no longer interested in it, then it collapses, right? So that's the flip side of it. The third one is the management instance. There has to be some instance that actually is the glue that keeps it all together. And this glue is not just money, right? So it is those values that I talked about, and those values could be providing a platform, it could be providing money, it could also be providing knowledge, it could be having a meeting space, and importantly, having a safe space where you can build trust, right? You mentioned that already with the Tropical Innovation Lab, where you said it's important to not have competitors in the governance, right? So, and when I'm talking about this management company, that is the governance, right? So, and that has to be clearly, there have to be clear definitions, there have to be clear roles, there has to be a clear understanding of what the value is that this instance brings. And again, to me, you're like an amazing example of a management instance. So we got tons of money from the commission, of course, to run this show, right? And typically, what I've seen is that typically the management instance is financed by the governments, whilst the other players in it are from private industry, right? So, and that's important because you got to have a pace of urgency. If everything were the government, actually, that would be, or if it were all just public instances, it would be too slow. That's why you need actually the others. So there's many other pieces on innovation ecosystems that I could talk about, but I'm kind of running out of time, which is really unfortunate because there's so much more to say. So, but I will now focus on the future. So, but again, there's so much more. So first of all, on the future, just to give you a few concrete pieces. First of all, artificial intelligence will have a major, major impact on research and development. All of you, I'm preaching to the choir here, obviously, right? But what I'm trying to say is that innovation ecosystems need to embrace and use AI. So maybe to make AI available to their member organizations, because not everyone, including smaller startups and even some larger corporates, really know how to use that. And the pace of R&D will double with the help of AI. So therefore, I think these ecosystems need to really embrace it. That's the first one. The second one is that many innovation ecosystems have their purpose, or one of the big pieces around innovation ecosystems is that they have physical proximity, which helps in collaborating. Like the kitchen hub in Israel is one really good example of that. Whilst we at EIT Food, we were more distributed. I believe that in the future there will be many more distributed ecosystems, because now with distributed intelligence, distributed systems, platforms, I think you can actually go and be much more distributed, right? And then there's this piece which you're already doing you, Paolo, are already doing with the Tropical Innovation Lab, is that there will be more physical infrastructure that is to be shared. At EIT Food, we were trying to do something like that by identifying from all the partners what they have that we could make available to startups. And we actually supported something like 160 startups every year in our accelerators and incubators. And this is a really, really important piece also for the future. And lastly, before I see there's the red zeros flashing, the last piece is that whilst innovation ecosystems focus very much on innovation, I believe in the future, in the near future, there'll be much more focus on resilience, supply chain resilience, and food security, right? So those are, I think, the big themes that are of importance for the future of mankind, particularly now in this fractured geopolitical climate. So that's, again, unfortunately, only 10 minutes. Give me another 10, please.
No, thank you. I have to close, but I want to do 2 comments. At the Foodtech Hub Latam, when I started, it's my own money. So I didn't have any money from the government. So I haven't heard nobody of you saying that the challenge in the beginning was money, because the money for you, because support from the government was no problem. For me, thanks for my history that I was serving the industry before, I didn't start with the startups. I started with the companies. So that helped me to reach until here. So I have companies supporting me year by year to walk. And second, when you say the value for membership, I take the example of a tropical. Because first we got to, thanks God for that, to put the tropical inside Itaú, because we have a lot of knowledge around us that you have to look for. We just cross the street, we are there. And Pascal, you'll see that tomorrow. And we are running a program really together with the founders and the members to develop together. It's a big value, because then you see really knowledge come from all over partners and members into one place, and then can be used in the market by one of them or not. So, but this is, for me, is a big value in the future for the ecosystem. A concrete collaboration, product development. With that, thank you very much, Christina, Scott, Pascal, and Andy. Thank you very much. Let's take a picture.